This video is brought to you by
Cool Green Clothing. We done gone worldwide and we coming straight out of Baltimore. And if you're in town, pull up on us at 215 West Saratoga Street. And if you're not in town, go online right now at coolgreenclothing.com and make your purchase. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way. And that's just basic.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. As we navigate this crazy world, for most of us, as you get older, we start to realize the best teacher in life is experience. Once you become a certain age, it becomes simple. Work hard, provide for your family, love the people who love you, and stay out the way so that you and yours can be safe. But that way of thinking doesn't happen overnight. Usually when people move and think like that, it's because they know the dangers of what's out there and how precious life and freedom is. They probably been to prison, had family members that lost their lives being in the mix. So the way they choose to move is based off their experiences. But on the flip side of that, when you are young, full of ego, nothing really keeping you from being in the mix, it's easy to be put in a trick bag. For most young men, they don't know who they are yet and what's their place in this world. So they tend to hold on to things they think will make them known. Being a tough guy, the one known to shoot, or the person everybody is scared of. But at 20, 21 years old, you haven't been through enough to know life is real. And so is your freedom. So they take it for granted. And when you let your ego and anger trick you, the outcome could be something you are not ready for. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case on how a Baltimore rapper trip to the store turned into 2 life sentences. Back in 2024, everybody in the city of Baltimore had hope and felt crime in the city was getting better, especially as the homicide rate was dropping. But of course, like most cities in America, you still had hot spots and places that always had a low reputation and are not considered the safest. One of those was the 4400 block of Bel Air Road in Northeast Baltimore, the 7-Eleven to be exact. A popular hangout spot for people in the area, and with a lot of people hanging, things tend to happen, causing heavy cameras and police presence. On February 7th, 2024, it was a regular winter night in a city. In front of the 7-Eleven was a group of men hanging and chopping it up, including 40-year-old Odell Curtis and 32-year-old Ricardo Waters. Around about 9:30 p.m., a car pulled up, and a man in all black hopped out and bopped in the store. When he came out, he peeped. It was a lot of activity, and feeling like eyes was on him, he said something to a few of the men. A brief back and forth was stuck. Seconds later, multiple shots went off, and the shooter in all black fled the scene. BPD was called to the location. When they arrived, they found both Odell and Ricardo suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Both men were rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately, neither would survive their injuries. Police spoke to witnesses and a store clerk who gave them footage, and the first thing they noticed was the shooter had on a chain, and the car had Florida tags, indicating it was probably a rental. They saw the whole situation unfold as the cameras caught everything, but at first, there was no suspects. As the community heard the news of a double homicide at the 7-Eleven, people spoke out on how dangerous the area could be.
I just believe it's a dangerous neighborhood. It's scary. Like I say, I wanted to walk the store and get a black and mild, but I was afraid, so I got 2 of my brothers to walk with me. And it's just dangerous out here, man.
And what could be done for the violence to stop? An $8,000 reward was being offered for anybody who had information, and not long after, tips came in. As most people recognized the chain, and stated it was a local rapper, 21-year-old Daquan Woodard, who went by Munchie. They also gave police an address for the young man. As he was picked up for questioning months after the shooting, at first, Daquan didn't want to talk until they showed him the video of him allegedly shooting Odell as he stood outside the car, then doubling back and shooting Ricardo, who was in the car. They asked him, was he a rapper, in which the young man stated yes. And when asked about the chain and also social media pictures that showed him wearing the chain, Daquan knew they had him. He confessed to the shooting, but gave his side of events. He claimed he pulled up to the store and was chopping it up with some men he knew. He stated he felt like the two victims were a threat because they were watching him. So he was peeping the scene from the store. But instead of walking out, getting in the car and leaving, he addressed the situation. Then he claimed he thought Odell had a gun, so he shot. With his confession, Daquan was taken into custody, charged with 2 counts of first-degree hit and weapon violations. As the young man's case started making its way to trial, there was a lot of things that took place. Problem with witnesses not showing up, as one man went all the way to Utah. And Daquan was also beefing with his lawyer. He felt she wasn't fighting for him and was trying to railroad him. So he asked, could he fire her and postpone his trial? The young man had an outburst in the courtroom, cussing her and the judge out. After the judge stated no postponements, both Odell's family and Ricardo's family spoke out on the kind of men they were and asked Daquan why, as everybody felt it was senseless and all ego. But Daquan's family was also in the courtroom, and as he had been found guilty and was now being sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 20 years, they zapped out. It was chaos in the courtroom, and one of his family members even caught a charge. Rest in peace to Odell and Ricardo. I send my prayers and condolences to their families. If it really went down like they said, just a look and a few words, that's terrible. But like we was talking about earlier, that ego, especially when you are young. As we get older, for most, not all, because I'm sure we all know some old crash outs as well, it becomes a little bit more easier to just walk away. You have things to lose. Daquan was pursuing a rap career, trying to become successful, and you let your pride and ego trick you out the streets to 2 life sentences at 22 years old. At that age, you really haven't even started living yet. All to show you like that. But what these young dudes gotta realize, as many so-called steppers that came from the city, after they lose their life or get 100 years, life goes on. You are not mentioned as much. Nobody remembers what you did for that name you was chasing. The money orders and letters eventually stop, and you are left to sit in that cell for decades in a place where your name don't mean nothing. But hey, that's the Baltimore way. Yeah, man, crazy story. I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I know y'all heard in my voice, I'm a little bit sick. The weather changing, so I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.